You know, 0.2% of businesses that applied got 10% of the small business loan money. 0.2% of the businesses that applied got 10% of the small business loan money. That tells you the outsized and uneven way this was distributed. And there was not the Congressional Black Caucus, not anybody. There was no advocacy for black business. You know what we did see though? You know what we did see in the last few days? We didn't see any advocacy for black business, but we saw a lot of this. We saw a lot of bait and switch. We saw a lot of people saying a lot of stuff didn't make a lot of sense. Let's bring this up. That's Diddy. Take that. I appreciate what Diddy did when he told the truth about Comcast and those tweets. But good God Almighty, some people just do one good thing and then fall all the way back off. Diddy's message for tonight's color of COVID. That's what we need, a message from Diddy in the color of COVID. African Americans helped to build this country and make this country great. We don't deserve to be in this position. Let's not wait on anybody to save us. Let's use this as a reset. So while the real stuff was going on, and we were seeing what was really going on in terms of who really gets service in this country and how hierarchies really work in this country and how business eats up all the food, big business in this country, while that was really going on. See, you're supposed to be a business leader too, Diddy. You're not my spiritual leader. I don't go to your church. I don't understand why a man who talks about business and been in Forbes all these time, why you on here talking about all this mystical stuff? But nobody's going to save us. You don't need nobody to save you. You were boosted. You had your white capital was your rocket booster. You don't need nobody to save you. So don't tell me about what we need or how we need, who going to save us. You already saved. But like, why isn't this the moment for these alleged, everybody who talk, oh man, y'all understand, Diddy no business, Diddy no business, Diddy no business. But when it's time to talk about business, you could have went up there and advocated for black business and say, we need, the banks aren't treating black businesses right, and our loans, our applications haven't getting serviced, and I hear it's not, you didn't do that. Instead, you played like, and you've been playing like this low-key kind of Deepak Chopra, this weird kind of mysticism, right? That we don't need in terms of, listen, Marianne Williamson can have her mysticism as long as she's advocating for reparations. You out here not advocating for nothing and talking mystical. This is going to be our reset. Let's not let anybody save us. We don't deserve this, but nobody's going to save us. Nobody talks that way, Dodo Bird. Nobody talks like that. We're not going. Everybody runs to Capitol Hill. Don't you see all these businesses running to Capitol Hill to take money they don't even need? Everybody runs to get the money. And we the only fools who talking about ain't nobody going to save us. We're going to save ourselves. In 400 years, we've been able to save ourselves. If we could have, we would have. We tried everything, dum-dum. We tried everything to save ourselves. You know why it doesn't work? Because it's not designed to work. Not for nobody. Now, we need it more than anybody else. But it's not designed for nobody to save themselves. When it's time to be saved, everybody, even people who don't need to be saved, run to Capitol Hill because there's a pile of money there waiting to be distributed. Only you, Dodo Bird, are talking about nobody's going to save us. We just got to save ourselves. And people listen to you. Why? On this, why? Save ourselves how? What are you talking about? And it's not just you. Like, I don't even understand how we listen to these people who say, listen, I said this on the tweet, but I don't want to hear. We got to save ourselves from anybody who don't need to be saved. If you got $1 million portfolio or $1 million house, or if you sitting in front of a multi-million-dollar painting, I don't need you telling me about who gonna save us. But you have gotten, like I just said, the attention you've gotten. You love to sit. Y'all love, you and Jay-Z. Y'all love to sit. Who was it? Jay-Z sit with Warren Buffett. You love to doggone be in front of this stuff and be in Forbes and talk on Bloomberg about how you a businessman. When it came time to talk business and what business needs and what black business needs to move forward in this moment, and the kind of loans black business needs, you said nobody's gonna save us. All of your little white friends, Diddy, the people in your neighborhood have been getting all kind of loans. I'm sure you know it, but you come out and tell the Negroes nobody's gonna save us. We just gotta wash our hands. See, this is the kind of stuff that only gets told to us. Sometimes you gotta really understand that certain stuff only gets said to us. And when that happens, you gotta realize that even if the person talking to you is ADOS or if they're black, you gotta understand that that is still racist. You gotta get that. So here's Barkley. Now, first of all, let me just say this before I get into it. I don't think Barkley should ever be able to talk about anything except basketball. He's hard to listen to. His tongue's too fat and he don't know nothing. Now, that's just the first part. But here's what he said. There is systemic racism, but that does not give you a reason to go out and be overweight. Former NBA star Charles Barkley said, whatever. Now, why is he talking about anything? He can't hardly lift his tongue. I don't want to hear from you about nothing. Now, if you want to tell me about what's going on in the game and who moved left and who moved right and who played the best at this, that's all you can do, Charles. Nobody was ever honest with you. Let me be the first person, Charles, to be honest with you. All you can ever do in this life is talk about basketball. I'm sorry. I don't know what your capacities are, intellectual otherwise. I'm not talking about that. But all you obviously ever studied in your life, maybe you could have been a scientist. I don't know what you could have been, but all you've ever learned in your life is basketball. And that's fine. You were a basketball player. People specialize. Engineers specialize in engineering. And sometimes that's everything that, even when they talk about other stuff, it's from an engineering frame point. All you can talk about is basketball. Scientists talk about scientists. Physicists talk about physics. All you can talk about is basketball. You don't know nothing else. You just blubber and double along. So here's what I will say too. This kind of reminds me. This conversation with, oh, ain't no excuse for being overweight. You know, we can't control much, but why we so fat? And it kind of reminds me, well, Boyce engages in that stuff too. Even though he's supposed to be like, I'm a finance I can't tell you, sound like a gossip blogger. But it kind of reminds me what Barkley says here in terms of what I hear all the time, or what we've heard too much about soul food. So people always try to create soul food as an example of some kind of ADOS dysfunction. You see the problem? The problem is we eat all them collard greens and you put a piece of fat in it. Mm-hmm. And the problem is your macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese ain't nothing but fat. Mm-hmm. See, we just functional. That's what killed Big Mama. What killed Big Mama was the food. Now, okay. Let's think about that for a second. Because I say, what did I just say? Think about what I just said, family. Nobody else gets talked about in this way. So, what am I saying? Ever had Italian food? Italian food, whether you're talking Alfredo, whether you're talking pizza, whatever you're talking, is high fat. It got heavy creams and a lot of butter and sometimes a whole lot of cheese. Now, that's high fat. That is heart attack heaven. Delicious, but it's heart attack heaven. But nobody ever assumes that something is wrong with Italians because they have their food culturally is a fatty food. Nobody assumes that something is wrong with them because they have a lot of fat in their food. We assume that maybe that's not all they eat. Maybe they eat fresh vegetables, Mediterranean or whatever. We don't assume that because your most popular cultural foods are fatty, that's all you eat, or that something's wrong with you, because that would be stupid. Nobody does that except with us. With us is always, even though the fact that a lot of stuff with us came from what we had to eat or whatever, but macaroni and cheese is just good. It's not a complex food, but what's the difference between that and a pizza? It's still a high calorie cheese food. But nobody assumes you see, something's wrong with them Italians. They brought that food over here to us and it's high fat. It's something wrong with them. They dysfunctional. It's just us. It's only us. We can name a whole bunch of groups. The French with all their cheeses and mousses and stuff, and it's delicious again. But fat and sugary desserts. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. But nobody assumes the French must have a problem. Their food is highly caloric. Only we get talked to this way and made to feel that we are dysfunctional because we eat macaroni and cheese. Ain't nobody eating macaroni and cheese every weekend. I ain't never seen that. Only when you see, we have to get better at recognizing black racists and black racism. Just because it comes out of a black mouth or an ADOS mouth doesn't mean that it's not racist commentary. I am convinced that a lot of these folks, I'm not talking about Barkley in particular right now because he got his money off basketball. But when we talk about the other people that I've mentioned in this show, I'm convinced that if they didn't need to make money off of the ADOS community, that they would be right-wing Republicans. They would be over there. The only reason they're not is because they have to talk black empowerment, because they make their money by kind of talking that talk. And then if they don't talk that talk, if they talk that Rush Limbaugh talk too hard, that people are going to be like, wait a minute, you Rush Limbaugh, what are we doing? That sounds really white supremacist. So they have to kind of feign a love and pretend. But all of that stuff, the truth always comes out. So you get to talking too much and you love to talk and we hear all of it. So then we hear, no, you don't really love us. You don't really feel that way about us. You feel the same way that the other people feel. You feel that we're lazy. You feel that we don't work hard enough. You feel all the racist stuff that them other people talk about. That's what you are. And in the moments where you're not paying attention, we are, and we see it in you. The love that we have for each other and ourselves is not a love that you share. And if you weren't making money off of us, you will be all the way over there with them, pointing fingers and talking about what we don't do. And that's why you aren't out here advocating for us too. You don't know enough. You don't have a business and you don't know how to advocate. And you really don't want to advocate for your people. That's not what you're interested in. You're interested in making money for yourself through the aspiration and the appetite for super capitalism that this country has created within our people and that you set a match to all the time. You really ought to be ashamed. I don't know if you know enough to be ashamed, but that's kind of where we are.